Hello, hello. This is Katrina Carson from Let's Talk with Katrina Carson. And we are here today with Roderick and Maybelline from Recovery TV. Listen, let me tell you guys are in for a great show. I'm so excited to talk to these two. They're going to tell you about what they do. But first, I want you guys to introduce yourselves. So I guess we could start with Maybelline.
Hello, my name is Maybelline Gillison.
And I'm Roderick Gillison.
Okay, so of course we need to know more than just your names.
Okay.
So we'll start with Roderick. Can you tell me what it is you do? I know you do a lot of things, but yeah, just give us a quick rundown.
Well, I'm a man of many hats. First and foremost, I'm a husband of 27 years. And then I'm a real estate broker as well. And I also work for Share House, which is a substance abuse treatment facility where I'm a recovery coach. And I also do other things such as monitoring and things like that. So I have a host of things that's going on right now.
Okay. So Maybelline, tell us about you.
I'm Maybelline. Been married 27 years. And I'm working with my husband. I'm also a recovery coach that work out in the field. And that's what I do.
Okay, so Recovery Today TV network. Can you guys tell me how that came about and what was the originator? What was the thing that made you say, hey, I want to start this. I want to work with people. I want to, help people. What was the thing that started Recovery Today? I guess anybody can start.
Well, I can pretty much start it off. The vision came pretty much from having a lived experience. Since I entered into recovery in 1995, and what I found out about recovery is that, with those who are affected either by drugs, alcohol, could be abuse, could be gambling, whatever it is, I found out that they didn't have a platform. Once a person comes into recovery, the first thing that they ask is, what do I do next? And I wanted to bring to the table a platform for people who want to express themselves in that manner, so they can have a platform where they can talk about their experiences and where they're moving on from now. So this network was birthed out of that. I look around, people who are suffering or who want to tell their story don't really have a platform. Mm-hmm. So this is how Recovery Today television network was birthed.
Okay, so with that being said, what are the steps? What are the things that they actually do when it comes to the recovery program or the consultations? How does that work?
Well, pretty much, in recovery, a person, whatever they do, they have to first admit that they have a problem.
Right.
If you don't admit you have a problem, you can't get any help. So pretty much after there's a admittance that they have a problem, what we do next is do an assessment, find out, what the situation is, and then we try to, us as a recovery coaches, we try to help navigate them on the road to recovery. We don't focus on what they've done, because we always say this. We always have this saying, it's not what you do, it's why you do what you do. And when we discover the reason why, you say if a person is on crack cocaine or heroin, they may have been addicted for some time. Once they stop using or get to a place where, where they're clean, then we discover that drugs was a small part of their issue. They may have had issues of neglect, abuse, abandonment. Those are the issues that we tackle. Once we get those things under control, then they can see that there's no need to use, because using drugs and alcohol is just a mask.
Right.
It's just a cover up for what's really going on. So once we get to the bottom line, then they can move forward.
I was just going to touch on that, because I feel like that's really important to know, is where exactly it's coming from, because it comes from an initial place. It doesn't just, don't just come out the womb doing that. You know what I mean? It comes from an initial place. So I guess Maybelline can help with this. How do you guys figure that out? I know you have an assessment process, but is there anything else? Is there a certain type of interview? How do you go about that?
Yes, there's an interview. And once you sit and talk with a person, and the first thing I do is I want to take them back to when they were young, take them back to where they first felt their first rejection, when they was first hurt. That could have been in kindergarten. The teacher could have hollered at them, or at home. And that's where it starts at. That's what age you are at that point. See, a lot of people say, well, I did this and I did that because the crowd was doing it. That might be how you think you started, but it's really a reason. So once I take them back, they be like, well, I'm just 7 years old.
Right.
Because I'm stuck right there, or what was said to me, or what was done to me.
Wow. That's deep right there. Sometimes people don't really understand how to get that out of them. So I know that it's a gift for certain people, especially like you guys. It's a gift to be able to understand and relate and try to help people. But what do you feel like is the main thing, the main characteristic about yourself? I guess I can ask Roger about yourself that gives you that ability to figure that out for someone or help someone figure that out?
Well, first of all, I have the lived experience. Second of all, I have empathy. You know, if a person come to a person who has not had a substance abuse problem and say, hey, I'm on drugs. If you don't understand nothing about drugs, you're not going to be able to identify. And I think that's where people miss it. Yes, if you can't identify with me, then there's nothing you can do to help me.
Right.
So I do carry that gift where I can identify and do it. And then I have the empathy. So I understand where you're coming from. So I understand the mindset or the traits of one who may have been affected by drugs.
Right. And you said something that's really important, empathy. A lot of people don't have empathy. A lot of people don't even understand that word. And they don't understand that the way they view the world is sometimes based on the fact that they don't have empathy.
Oh, yeah. Empathy is very important.
So you having that real life experience and being able to understand where they're coming from, do you tell those people right off the bat, or do you kind of get that into the whole, what's the word, the consultation?
Well, I listen because I understand there's a mindset.
Right.
You know, being addicted or being trapped by anything that's holding you back is simply a mindset. And so I deal with the mind. Yeah. If I can get them to see, that it's all in your thinking, it's the way that you think, then we can, move forward. So I sit back and I listen to, to my peers. I don't call them clients, they're peers because we're so much, alike. So I listen to how they think, you know what I mean? And you can, you ever heard the saying, you can, first impression, you can always get something out of first impression. So when they begin to talk and I begin to hear what they're speaking, then I can kind of get in and maneuver and try to help navigate them through.
Right. So you get them to understand that you don't feel like you're higher than them. You want them to know that they can talk to you, that you're more of a colleague. You know what I mean? So how do you get that process started from the beginning? What are some things you do?
Well, basically, I let them know it's just simple with recovery. I'm only one step away. I'm only one thought away, just like you. If I decide to make the wrong decision, or if I decide to have this type of mentality or thinking, then I'm right back in the space where you are. The difference between me and you is I'm not thinking that way. So if I can get you to think beyond where you at and get you on the road to recovery,
right,
then you can understand that you can do this too. It's no different from me and you. I tell all of my clients that. And I let them know that so they can be able to talk to me and identify with me. And then we take it from there.
Right. So what about you? Like, what do you feel is like your strong suit when it comes to these consultations, when it comes to just talking to people? What do you feel like you can really do for people?
Being here, because like you said, we are peers. We are their peers. We're not there. We're not above them and we're not beneath them, but we're peers. So we're on the same playing field. So allowing them to talk, and first of all, you got to get them to even accept you. So, allowing them to get the feel of you, to see just who you are, okay, she or he not better than me, so I can talk with them. So allowing them to be themselves. And on a recovery coach too, also, we're just there to support what you come up with. What your plan is. So we just there to really walk with you. To hold you accountable. Because you need to be held accountable for your actions, your deeds, and your words. Because it's one thing to have an addiction and then you get rid of it, but you never change your mindset.
That's important. You said holding someone accountable. Because I feel like a lot of people, especially with you guys are talking to them as a peer, but at the same time, you have to let them know like, hey, if you mess up, I'm going to hold you accountable to that because this is your life. You know what I mean? I feel like sometimes that's hard, especially if you make friends with somebody. You don't want to hurt their feelings. But with you guys, I feel like you guys have a good medium with that. You guys can talk to them and make sure they know that, hey, I'm going to hold you accountable. But at the same time, I understand what you're going through. So let me help you, give you the tools to do what you need to do. So that's awesome.
Yeah, that's good.
So, you wanted to add something on that?
I wanted to add, to what you were saying. Basically, as a recovery coach, it's like I tell my peers, it's like a coach and a team. The coach has the plays, but you got to run them. My only responsibility is make sure that I put the play out there, and if you don't execute, then there's no movement because I can't play the game for you. I'm just using that analogy, and that's the same thing in recovery. I can't walk this thing for you. You have to walk this on your own. But like my wife was saying, that you have to be accountable for what you said you were going to do. And our responsibility is help navigate you that way. And so far, we've been successful. People are buying into this thing that we call multiple pathways to recovery because it's not just about NA. Some people do it through the Narcotics Anonymous. Some people just quit because they wake up. Some people do it through music, through art. There are many ways that you recover. And I wanted to say this about drugs or alcohol or whatever you may be doing. It's a small part of the problem. Let me give you an example. I know people who don't drink, who don't smoke, who don't do drugs, but yet they lie, they steal, they do everything a quote unquote drug addict would do, but they don't use any drugs. So it's not the drugs, it's the mentality, it's the behavior is what we target. Because if your behavior is jacked up, guess what? You liable to do anything. You don't have to be under the influence to lie. You don't have to be under the influence to steal.
That's right.
And people always try to stigmatize a person being on drugs as something bad, but it's not the drugs. That's the small piece of the puzzle. It's the behavior.
It's the mindset.
It's the mindset. There you go.
It starts there. So what are the type of classes? What are the type of discussions do you guys do? I know you guys probably have different topics for different classes, different consultations. So what are the main topics of those?
Well, I deal with one in particular. I talk about vision. That's one of the things I talk about. Let me give you an example. I just did a talk with the state of Michigan, and I did just about a 5-minute talk about vision is part of recovery. Why do I say that? Because if you can't see how you're going to navigate, the first thing when a person comes off drugs and alcohol that I realize, the first thing they say, where do I go from here? Where do I go? I can't see. I don't know nothing else. So I get them to understand that you have to get a vision. You can't just stay stuck. You have to see your way out of this. And so I get them, that class I teach is to get them to begin to see that you are more than what you think you are. But until you see that, then you're stuck. So I talk about vision a lot.
All right. Well, after this break, we're going to talk more about what do you vision for Recovery Today TV network and what can we look forward to? And then we're going to talk more about those topics too for the classes. But yes, you guys stay tuned with more with Roderick and Maybelline with Recovery Today TV network. I'm Katrina Carson from SDM Live Unplugged. Let's talk with Katrina Carson. We'll be right back. So stay tuned. And we are back. It is Katrina Carson with Let's Talk with Katrina Carson. And right now, I am talking with Maybelline and Roderick from Recovery Today TV network. So what's going on? Y'all good? Y'all good? All right. So we had a good break. We were vibing out with some music, but I really want to keep talking about this vision, the vision of Recovery Today TV network. Can you give more depth when it comes to that for us?
Yes, the vision of this network is to go far beyond, even my mind can imagine. When it came to me, I wanted to be the people's network, not my network, or not my wife's network, but the people's network, to give them a platform to where they can be heard. Whether and I want to go back and reiterate it's not about drugs, alcohol. It could be gambling, it could be sex, it could be abuse. It can be overeating, whatever has you bound. This network wants to give inspiration and hope to let you know that you can recover from whatever it is. And in our vision, my wife and myself, because we talk about it over and over again, that we want people to be able to be on this network and express themselves, and people who may be bound, that when they look at this network, something on this network can inspire them to change.
Yes.
That's the main thing. That's all we want out of it is change. If we can change one person's life, we're good.
So, Maybelline, when we talk about inspiring, what is the main thing that I should say? What is the main thing that you really want out of Recovery Today TV network? What do you want the Recovery Today TV network to put out? Like, what's the main thing? If you had to choose one subject, what would you say?
To let people know that they can be who they are. They don't have to hide behind these masks. A mask, which is what everybody do because fear. So if I took the one word, that would be to release fear and be who you are supposed to be. Be who God called you to be. That's what I want.
That's amazing. So with this TV network, there's so many things that you guys can do. So what are you guys looking to do? What are you doing now? Not looking to do it. We're speaking this into existence right now. This is what's happening right now. So what do you want the world to see with this network?
I want the world to see change, inspiration, hope, and true recovery. That's what recovery is summed up in.
Hope,
change, inspiration, newness of life, walking without fear. I mean, fulfilling your purpose.
right?
And I know that there's someone that will be on that network that can inspire someone else to say, hey, if they did it, I can do it. So I want this to be a chain reaction. I just don't want this to stop in one person. I want it to be a domino effect, so people can start coming to this network saying, "Hey, I got a story to tell. Can you allow me to tell this story?
Yes.
Can I share my testimony so I can help someone else? See, recovery is just not selfish. In order for me to stay free, I got to help somebody else. The minute I stop, I'm in trouble.
Right. And then what I love about your network is that it's not just about recovering drug addicts or alcoholism. It's about depression.
Yeah.
Anything that you're going through.
Anything. You'll be surprised.
Yeah.
People are going through internally and afraid to speak about it. People can be, that mask is taking off that mask is so important, because I could be at work and I could be struggling in the inside, scared to tell somebody. And then the next thing you know, and I'm not speaking this on me, but I'm saying a person can, next thing you know, they committed suicide and we don't know why. Oh, they were doing so well. They had a promising career. But on the inside, they were dying.
Yeah, I've talked on my show about I've battled with depression and seasonal depression, with grieving and not knowing how to grieve and feeling like you need to handle things how someone else handled theirs. And that catch up to me real fast.
It will.
So it will. So I feel like this is awesome. I feel like people need to learn how to share it. Yeah. And then people need to learn how we talked about earlier, have empathy, because that's the only way that people are going to feel comfortable talking about it.
That's right.
Especially in our community, it's very shunned upon. Like, people don't really talk about it.
No.
It's just, go to church, pray it away. But faith without works is dead,
That's
meaning that if you're not doing the work to actually work on whatever you're going through, nothing is going to change. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
you know what? I'm glad you said that. I want to share this, and I'm not going to say this pastor's name, but he's no longer with us. He was preaching. His last message, he actually preached in front of us, honey. You know who am I talking about? And I watched this man preach. He was a very renowned preacher. But as he was preaching, I was watching him, and I knew that he was struggling. I could identify with him because I knew that he was struggling from drugs. I knew he was on drugs. I was looking at him. He preached his last message, went to the hotel, and overdosed. Now, he's a pastor.
Didn't reach out.
Couldn't nobody else see that, but I saw it. And I say to myself, how could that be? You know, how could you preach the gospel? How could you, and I'm talking from the Christian standpoint.
Right. I got you.
Because I'm saved. I love Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ is my personal savior. But I wanted to understand this. How could you preach the gospel and still yet struggle? You know, and not cry out for help? Because see, I learned this as being saved and being in church. Mm-hmm. I have to keep it 100. I have to stay honest. Mm-hmm. The minute I start lying to myself and telling myself that I'm something that I'm not, I'm in trouble. That's why you see preachers preaching today. You see them in bed with women the next day, or you see their church fall because they failed to keep it 100. And that's one thing about the church that sickens my stomach. Nobody wants to be honest. There's somebody in church that can save a life.
Yes.
If somebody come in church struggling and saying that I'm on drugs, there should be somebody can raise their hand and say, you know what, I can help you.
Yes.
I've been there.
Yes.
Praying is one thing, but carrying it out is a whole nother thing. Go ahead, honey.
But a lot of people will misconstrue that with being pride. It's not pride. I'm saying how I look at it is not pride. The reason I won't share with you, because you're going to knock me down. I don't want to be rejected.
Right. And that's the thing that we struggle with that. What they going to say about me, what they going to think about me.
And we shouldn't even be thinking about that.
It shouldn't be, but that's a mindset.
Right.
See, we was taught when things was going on in the home. I know when I was coming up, you better not share that with nobody else.
That's
Right.
What goes on in this house stays in this house. That became a mindset.
But sometimes people in that house can't help you.
That's right.
And it may be somebody outside of that house that can help you and see what's going on. Probably can help everybody. You know what I mean?
Right. But
everybody around you.
Right. But if you taught not to say nothing, you're going to keep that thing inside of you, and it's going to eat at you like cancer. Then guess what?
How do we change that? How do we work on that?
Well, I use this format called HOW, H-O-W. Honesty, openness, and willingness.
Right.
If you operate in those three principles, first you got to be honest. Totally honest. Then you got to be open. Then you got to be willing to change. If you don't operate in those three principles, there's not going to be any success in your life. So I come from a family where, again, I was quiet. I wouldn't tell nobody nothing until I met my wife. My wife is from a different breed. She gonna put it out there. I could take some things and I can hide it under the rug and never talk about it for years, but I'll still carry the bitterness. I'll carry the anger, and that thing was eating me up. You know what I'm saying? On the other hand, once she sees something or acknowledges something, she gonna talk about it right away. And so we help each other in that area. So I'm learning now that if I hold on to it, it may cause me problems down the line. So that's one of the things that we fail to do. We fail to be honest. Who can I talk to? Who can I tell something to that won't go back and tell what I told them? You know that. You know about that.
Because a lot of people, things happen to them in the home, and they go tell somebody in the home, and they turn around and be the one in trouble. See, because I could take myself, for instance. I got pregnant at 15, and I was passive, so I was very quiet. I kept it to myself. I hid it for 8 months.
Wow.
And because I know, fear, that was one factor. But come to find out, I'm hiding this for 8 months. And when they found out, they didn't even act the way that I thought they were going to act. They were really with me when I thought they were going to be against me, because they tell you all this stuff in your head. If you do this going to happen. Right. So we be quiet.
And that's the wrong thing to do. Holding back is the wrong thing to do. Now, you have to be careful who you talk to. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
You can't tell everybody anything.
Right. And don't take help from everybody.
No.
Not everybody want to see you win.
There you go.
That's
so
true.
you got to be careful. And we talk about that in one of our principles, that we must confess to ourselves, to God first, ourselves, and another human being, the exact nature of our wrong. That's one of the principles that we talk about. And admitting to God you got to use wisdom with that. That's where I'm going, because you can't tell everybody your business.
Not everybody don't understand either.
And so you have to be very careful in operating it, because that actual principle is a freedom principle. Yeah. Because once I get it out there and get it off me, then I'm free. You know what I'm saying? So I got to be very careful of how I do it, because I can get that information to you, and then you can turn around and
use it against
me.
Yes. That's why it's always good that we come back to that word, empathy, because a lot of things we say to people, they'll, like you said, take advantage of you with it. They'll use it against you. So with that, with the Recovery Television Network, what do you really want the people to see when it comes to the different shows? I know you're going to do more podcasts. You're going to do more events. What are the type of things you're going to get out there and really work with the people and get them to understand and see where you're going with this and where you've been? You know what I mean? So what are those things you're going to do?
Well, then I'm going to let you speak. I want to talk about relationships. I think marriage and family is very important.
Yes.
A lot of families are struggling and they're not moving forward because there are things that's happening in relationships that's not coming to the forefront. So we're going to do a series on marriages, talking about different aspects of marriage, how to be honest in your marriage, how to deal with anger, how to deal with jealousy, just keeping it 100. And some things me and her going to share that the world going to be able to see, like, hey, I can identify. Because, see, that's another area. That's a whole nother ball game right there. But that's one of the things we're going to talk about.
Because in our case, too, you have sometimes you have a lot of situations where it might be a baby daddy. But we had a baby daddy and a baby mama. So we had to work this both ways. So blended families. So we know a lot about blended family. And we're not here to tell nobody what to do. We're just telling you how we made it. You can take what you want from it and maybe something will work in your case. You can take a little nugget here and maybe I might try this, but we're not here to say we're experts. We're just telling you what worked for us.
Right. I understand what you're saying. So the main thing too that you want people to know is that Recovery Today TV network is basically the place where you can go where you can feel safe.
You can feel safe. You can click on our channel and you can look in each and every category. We want you to find something that you can identify with, whether it be healing, whether it could be anger issues, depression. You should be able to click on any aspect of what you're going through on the Recovery Today television network and find inspiration.
I'm excited about the things you're going to do with relationships. We were just talking about that the other day, how the way we grew up and how I saw my parents and how he saw his parents, that has something to do with the things that we struggle with in just our everyday lives. It's crazy how sometimes I said certain things. I even talked to my dad about it. Like, listen, I feel like the things I saw made me choose the type of men that I chose growing up. Not saying that my dad wasn't a great father, but it was certain characteristics that I cling to. It was certain, and I told him, I said, you being a great father has nothing to do with you being a husband to my mother.
There you go.
The type
whole
of
different
husband.
ball game.
I said, Dad, you are a great father, but it was things that I didn't see as a husband. And same thing with my mother. My mother was a great mother. You know what I mean? But their relationship, it was some things that I see that they struggled with. And it was things that I struggled with.
But now let me tell you,
what I mean?
What we had to do for a case like that. We had to come back to the drawing board because we celebrated May of this year, 27 years married.
Yes. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Awesome.
But we had to go back to the drawing board, realize I'm not my mother and you're not my father. So I can't expect for you to do things the way my father did. You can't expect for me to do things like your mother did.
Right.
Let's do them the way we're gonna do it.
A whole different ball game.
Yeah.
We can't use the past. I can't be my father. You know what I mean? I only can be me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And a lot of times we try to take the traditions of our parents. We living in a whole new millennium.
Yeah.
Me trying to tell her to cook me 3 squares a day, that day is over. You know what I mean? I need you in the kitchen. I need breakfast, lunch. That day is over. You know what I mean? So I'm not expecting out of her
Right.
three meals, laundry, and all that. I can request it. But if it happens, it happens. But we don't live in that time now.
Right.
We working together. You know what I mean?
Have you ever noticed, I don't know, when you guys are counseling like people that are in a relationship or married folks, is that sometimes they'll tell you about their past and then they'll try not to be the person, try not to be their parents, but they end up being their parents. I had to do that when it came to my mom. I was certain things that I was like, Mama, I'm not going to be like that. And then I end up being that way. Yep. So is that something that you guys really touch on in your classes with relationships too as well? Because sometimes when you start to run away from things and not hit things dead on, you end up becoming what you're trying to run away from.
And that's true, because we had to cut away that. And we had to become our own. You know what I mean? Because, you know, when you coming from, she was a mama's girl. I couldn't get her to move 10 minutes from her mama.
Me.
She told me if I can't move this far from my mama, then I'm not moving.
That was me. My mom, she passed 4 years ago. When I tell you, from the time I came out the womb, I was attached to her.
Oh, yeah.
It was to the point where when she passed, I didn't know who I was without her.
Right.
You know what I mean? And honestly, to this day, I feel like a piece of me left with her because I'm not sure. You know, I never thought that I would have to lose her that soon. So that's what I mean when I say I'm so happy that you guys are doing something like this, because sometimes it feels like if you're not having issue with drugs or alcohol, it's like nobody to help you.
Oh, no.
A lot of people feel that way. So like you were saying, it's shunned upon, depression, relationship, marital problems. I feel like a lot of people, if they feel like it's a certain outlet, a safe place for them to talk, they would really, really, really feel like it can actually be, it's hope.
It's hope.
Yes.
Some people just need to understand that there is hope. Some people just need a little hope sometimes.
That's it. And that's what we're going to try to give the people. Hope.
Yes.
You know, hope. We're going to give it to them raw. You know, we're not going to cover it up.
Right.
It is what it is.
So don't come in the kitchen if you can't take the fire. That's what they're saying.
That's it. Because that's one thing we try to do. We try to make believe that something is not what. If I heard the saying, if it's a duck, it's a duck. If it talk like a duck, walk like a duck, it's a duck.
It's a duck.
If the shoe fits, wear it.
If the shoe fit, we can go on and on with the cliches, but it's real.
Right. So before we get out of here, I really, really want you to tell us the last thing. The last part is just the vision again, so that people can know and they can get in touch with you guys. Make sure you say your contact information and a quick gist of how that works. Okay. So go ahead. I don't know who wants to take it away. Roger.
Well, again, to reiterate, our vision for this network is for the people.
Yes. It's
entitled The People's Network. It's your network. It's you coming to this network to get exactly what you need. You know, we're going to put it out there for you. You can come get it. If you have inspiration, if you have hope or a story that you want to bring to our network that's going to change the lives of people, we welcome you.
Yeah.
You know, we got open arms. We're not turning nobody down. You know, we want to save lives. At the end of the day, this network is designed to save lives, not for me to get rich or things like that. I'm not worried about that. That'll come. But the thing of it is if I can change your life, if I can get you on the right, if I can change the way that you think, then I know that you can go and change the way somebody else thinks. So
like somebody changed the way we
like somebody did us. We had people that spent time with us, really put hours and years of work into us.
Yes.
And now they're seeing the fruits of the labor, because when we first started out, they didn't give us 30 days to stay together.
So how can people get in touch with you?
Well, they can contact us by website at recovery2daytv.com. They can get us on a website that we just got the number, so I don't know the number by heart. It's a 1833 number. But if they can contact us by email at www.recovery2daytv.com. Okay. We'll get them from there.
All right. And then I really want to end with something you said earlier, just being able to be the reason someone changes their life. And just know that if you've been through something, if you have a testimony, it's your job to help someone else. Because there's always someone that can relate to you. So if you guys don't get anything from this episode, just really understand that you're not alone and that there are people that have the same story as you and they want to help.
That's it.
All right. Well, I want to thank you guys, Roderick and Maybelline, for coming on the show. Make sure you guys contact Recovery Today TV Network. Listen, I'm telling you, don't be afraid. Reach out to them. you know, if you're not sure about it, just talk to them for a consultation, one-on-one, just see, you know, where you can go with it. And it was so great talking to you guys.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Great
Yes.
talking with you.
And we are here on Let's Talk with Katrina Carson. We'll see you next time.